Hello and welcome back to my channel. I don't know, I kind of like making videos in my bed, but that's only because right now I'm on the edge of a sugar crash with being a little diabetic and everything. My name's Liana. I don't know what to really talk about. I guess um the struggles of friendships in your 20s. I'm 26. That's crazy to think about. Ugh. But you're there's gonna be a period of loneliness. I really thought that, with listening to videos and stuff, they always say, oh well, if you don't have any friends from your childhood, then you're the problem, and blah 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 blah. I considerably reject that idea, just because a lot of my childhood I spent in being in the church. And now that I kind of outgrown that, I just feel like it didn't help me in a way that church is intended to help you. A lot of my trauma, it came from church, dealing with people and stuff. And so, I mean, this is not everyone's experience. This is just my personal experience. Just with negative people there that didn't respect boundaries and just didn't respect me as being a human. Because I've been there since I was really young. A lot of people could feel like they could walk all over me, or because they think they know me, they have the obligation to feel like they could do anything to me. And that's not true. No, that is not true at all. And this doesn't always have to be about church, just to be outside as well too. You have the power to feel up to protect yourself, where if you don't know a person, you don't know a person. They may think they know you, but you don't have to feel obligated that you know that person. And that's with a situation that had happened to me, and why I don't feel comfortable at all going back to that church, just because I wasn't protected by my parent by that situation. And so I just distanced myself in general from that place. And so generally, in me being sensitive to energy, I don't really like that people, I don't like touch whatsoever. Not that I don't like a hug or whatever. I generally have to trust you in order for me to hug you. I'm not a person that accepts everybody right away, and force entry especially distance me further from you, because I don't like that either, and so I just feel that if you respect my boundaries and respect me as a human, that's when I feel comfortable. I don't generally force myself onto anybody, and if you force myself on me, I feel like you're a creep and I shouldn't trust you at all, and so I just protect myself in that way. And then just with being in a group, I've never always, this is also with childhood as well too, being in school, it was hard for me to fit in. I was always the last one to be picked on teams and stuff. And so I always felt like I was a bad person, just because I never generally fit in. And I've tried so hard to fit in, but I was never happy when I fit in. And so the only thing that I really wanted in life is just to feel included and feel accepted for myself. And I don't have to why is it that I have to change myself in order to make somebody else accept me? Why can't the person change themselves in order for me to feel comfortable in the same way, right? And so, I just think that I should just worry about myself and not trying to feel like what other people think. And I struggle with this a lot as well, but getting a lot better. I can't make anybody like me, and that's generally okay. But for someone to extremely hate me and try to cheer my name and try to make my characters feel so bad, that's what I don't like. And that's what I feel like that's when I know you have a problem, because literally, if I haven't done anything to you, you shouldn't hate me. Because why? I'm not the one that goes out of my way to make your life miserable, I always hated that with me always being a target. Like, I always felt like, why am I always a target? Like, I don't bother anybody. I stay to myself. I try to make, somebody feel comfortable. I try to feel like a person is included in a situation, but it's like I never had that same energy back towards me. And so it's just like with everything, I'm asking why, like, and it's just like I said, if they're not going to accept me for me, then they're not a true person. Because if they have to feel like they need to be the popular one, or they have to have everybody to like them and have to disclude somebody else, then you don't need to surround those people, surround yourself, because they're not good people, And I always feel like, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt so much, because like I don't want to judge people. I don't want to judge the wrong expectation of a person before knowing somebody. I like to take my time and know somebody before making my judgment on somebody, and so I just I don't know if I should continue to do that, just because with recent situations, being the benefit of the doubt, I still feel like people take advantage of that, and they can turn against you a lot. And I don't like that a lot too, just because I always, like I said, try to be nice to people, even though people aren't always nice to me. And it sucks just because of the fact that, you thought that you did what you can to make the person feel good and feel like, saying hi or saying, hey, are you okay? And that was not good enough. And they feel like, they can't be friends with you. And that's what is the problem with, the denominator is boundaries. But it's just like, if you're not communicating those boundaries, how is a person not knowing what boundaries you cross? And how is it okay for somebody outwardly, making fun of you or not include you into things, blah, whatever, right? And it's just like the double standards in situation as well too, It all comes with maturity at the end of the day. People aren't at the same maturity level as you, and that's what I understand as well too. Like, I'm a 26-year-old, but I still have some trouble with the fact that age shouldn't be like a general factor of who or whatever, right, of being friends with so-and-so or whatever. Because I have friends in their 40s or 30s, and I'm only 10 years younger than them. And then I have friends that are in their teens, 16 through 20, and I'm 5 to 10 years younger than them. So I generally don't feel like, oh, well, if you don't have friends your own age, then you're a pedophile. Like, that is to a discreet. If you have that intent in doing that, yeah, that's a problem. But my intent is not sexual whatsoever. My intent is just a friendship. With relationships, that's the same thing with a friendship. Like, I don't care if it's a person that's a few years younger than me or 10 years older than me. It's just that if we vibe, if we have the same general, values and, things like that, I can respect the differences, right? And be on the same maturity level too. Because a lot of people that I do hang around is like, I do feel like they are older than their age. I'm just like, oh, I thought you were the same age as me, And so they were like, no. I'm just like, oh, okay, And you don't really have to act your age, you know. I don't think that's like me saying like you need to act your weight. Like, how do you act your weight? Like, you can't act your weight. You can't act your age. You know, everybody has a different timeline. Everybody has different traumas that they're going through that stick, like, psychologically they're stuck into that that time period. But that doesn't mean like they can't get out of it. They can, but some choose to stay there and be the victim, right? So you have the opportunity as a person, and if you don't like where you are, you can make those steps and be a better person, a better version of yourself. You know, I realize that the energy I waste on people that won't accept you for who you are isn't generally at all going to make you better either. You know, the right people you will know the right people that are right for you. You know, it's most when you feel comfortable. It's most when you feel like they love your personality. You don't have to explain yourself. You know, they like you for the version that you show them. And the best version of yourself is given personally to them. You know, you shouldn't give access to everybody, because not the right people allow you to, you know, do so. And that's what I've learned over the years as well too, and why, like, I do see progress in myself, and I do see I sometimes don't, just because sometimes I do see setbacks, or I feel the setbacks and things. And so I just feel that and being alone is not that bad at all, you know. I have to recharge my energy being alone. I can't really and that's the one thing too. Like, if you feel like being alone is an issue for you, then I'm not gonna change that against to you. Like, I'm not gonna make me feel what's safe makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, you have to be comfortable in order for me to be comfortable, right? Like, if it's a problem, bye. Like, I'm not gonna force you. I'm not gonna force myself onto you. Then that's going to be an issue. I'm crossing a boundary. I'm this, that, and the third. I'm a horrible person. Meanwhile, you're the victim, and I never listened to you. Blah 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 blah. You know, no, I'm not gonna put myself in any more situations like that. Continue on later on. My best thing is just like my energy catches first, but like I said, I take the benefit of that, of trying to know the person before I know what my energy is doing is like, it's protecting me of being hurt from, especially from a lot of my experience with people and friendships. But my thing is like, I'm careful of the title friendship now. Like, I don't call everybody my friend, but it's really hard to describe a person by saying, oh yeah, well, this person is a friend, or whatever, like a person from work or whatever. They're not really friends. Like, you don't want to be rude and say this guy or this girl, whatever. I try my best and just be polite and say friend, but I guess the friend and then friends, you know, are like two different type things. And so, like, including that not everybody is a friend, and not everybody is, I don't even like the term best friend anymore, just because I think I've grown from the term best friend. I think that it should just be acquaintance and friend or whatever. But even like saying an acquaintance is just long, so that's why I just say friend. Or I guess friend and then friends with an S. You know, I don't know, right? But yeah, I know it's hard, especially like as well too. Like, my early 20s, I was in the pandemic being 21. Like, I literally had like 1 week of turning 21, and then we were in the first lockdown. And so we were in that pandemic lockdown for like 3 years. So like literally 21 to 23, I was by myself, right? It was hard for me to have that college experience. And on top of, like I said, like I had an injury, and so like my health was focused, and so it was hard for me to really focus on what I want to do, because like with the expectation of like, hey, like, I thought I would go to college, do the Greek life, do all of that. And I've ended up being at home. I've ended up having surgery. And I ended up realizing like who weren't my real friends during that time as well too. And my main thing as well too of trying to figure out what I wanted to do and what career path that will provide me stability for my family and not having to ask money for my kids, or the same thing when I'm going through, forcing them that they have to pay bills and things like that. There's going to be a different type thing of me teaching them the responsibility of that what I didn't had. I'm not going to demand them like what I had to deal with type thing. And that's what is there, like when they start working and everything, what's their money is what they have to keep. They don't have to feel like they're obligated to help me because I bring them their life and that's what they need to focus on, And so that's what I want, the career path where I'm not struggling and I'm not making my child feel the burden that of what I felt most of my life, And so I'm just like, yeah, And I'm not saying that I'm not going to have a dating relationship. I'm never going to have that. Even though I joke about, I'm just going to be single. No. My thing is like, I'm not going to lower my standards for just to have that relationship. And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't lower your standards just because you feel alone and you have your friends getting married and stuff. That's not the timeline for you. I'm glad I have the timeline now where I'm able to figure out what career path that I want to do and what education that I want to continue. Because the last thing that I wanted to do was to graduate with the degree, and I'm not doing that degree of what I spent 4 years of learning. My thing is I wanted to go to college with the degree and work in that field that I'm learning to do, or because that's just the way. And so that's why I'm kind of glad I didn't stick with something that isn't going to make me happy or provide for me the stability that I know that I want for my future, and learning from what I've brought up in the dysfunction and the financial stress and everything. I don't want that continuing cycle, And so when for my family and for my child, I want them to be a child. I want them to be a teenager. I don't want them to stress about finance or anything like that, wondering if they're going to get a next meal or whatever, I want them to focus on friends, high school, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, I want them to focus on what they need to focus on as their responsibility as a child, not what an adult needs to worry about their responsibility on, and they're throwing it at the child. I don't want to do that, And so, yeah, I feel that the time that you have alone is the time that you can figure out your dislikes and things like that, because people who need to be around people, I feel like they're so annoying and they're just so attention whore seeking, And so, you don't need to be those people. You need to be yourself. You need to be you. And like I said, you will know those people that will love you for you, and you will be okay, So, yeah. Other than that, everything will come in line. Everything will be on your right path, and everything will click and make sense. And, you're wondering like why my life is the way it is. And it's because it's showing you the reality of people, and you don't need people in order to make you happy. You need yourself in your life in order to make what you want good in life, right? Because people could distract you, people could turn you down the right path, you can make the wrong decision, and you don't need a church to be safe. You need a good environment that will keep you safe. And so, yeah. Other than that, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.